You've brought up coaching a lot. I know that's kind of one of your backgrounds. Can you tell me a little bit about your individual background in coaching and then maybe how you utilize some of those skills into your current position?
Yeah. So in high school, I was a 3-sport athlete. I played baseball, football. I wrestled. If anybody knows anything about scholarships, football pays a lot more than baseball does. So I took a football scholarship down to North Texas. While I was there, I had all kinds of different coaches. One of my coaches was very, very supportive. He was always there for you. Like he met with you on a personal level, always asked about your family, remembered their names. When they would come to visit, he always made you feel very welcome. And then there was the opposite side of that where you had those hard-nosed coaches that their job was to try to destroy you. They wanted to tear you down so that any little tiny piece of positive reinforcement they gave you felt like that. It felt very unique so that you wanted that. So when I started coaching in 2008, when I was done with school, I went straight into baseball, wanted to be a coach. Ended up doing a club sport for about 6 or 7 years, jumped into high school baseball. I've coached college baseball at Harris Stowe. We won a state championship at DeSmet in 2019. Then we went over to St. John Vianney. But coaching the different ages, so like I would go from 15 to 18, then drop back down to 15 to coach the younger men. Just seeing their progression over time and trying to figure out who they are as a person has helped me as far as knowing the way that I always wanted to coach and the ways that you could see the individual as what they are. Some people need that push. Some people need you to just kind of coddle them and tell them how good they are. Some people just want a compliment here and there because they might not be getting it at home because not all kids have great lives, right? But they all need jobs. So just being a coach kind of helped me meet them on a personal level. So when I first started working with Raising Cane's, one of the biggest things I wanted to do is meet the crew before I started like coaching and telling them how to do their jobs. I wanted to know who they were so that when they do have those moments where like maybe they don't want to work, all you had to do is mention, anime for one crew member, and they would start talking about anime, and you would just see them light up, and then their work improves because now they're thinking about something that has nothing to do with what they were doing wrong. The same thing in, baseball. If a kid's struggling to hit and you just start talking about something outside of that, they might forget what they were doing wrong, and now all of a sudden it's a slump buster. They're out of it. So I think coaching the younger kids has helped me relate more to them working in this industry as far as, we're trying to get you at 16. We want to keep you till you graduate high school, and then you're going to go off to college and get a degree in something else and go on and live your life. Or, maybe you want to keep pursuing this career and then you become a manager. But I want to make sure that you enjoy coming into work, because if you don't want to be there, that's when you have your call-offs. That's when you start changing jobs over and over again. And then you lose a crew member that could have been really, really good if you would have just made them feel welcome at work.
Yeah, I mean, that is the culture, right? So you're developing a culture through your training style, and it's meeting them where they are, right? Because everyone is at a different point in their life. Everyone, whether it's maybe your peer as far as like another manager, another leader, or even, someone that's brand new that is in high school that you have to like talk to them wherever it is that they are. And I think that is such a unique thing in the restaurant industry, because it's so easy to just, everything is a fire that has to be put out. Everything is an emergency all the time. And then whenever you run like that, it's so difficult to meet someone where they're at because you're putting out fires all the time. And specifically in the restaurant industry, I feel like it's such a normal and such a commonplace situation or scenario, I should say, that you can just, I'm just going to berate you, or I'm just going to yell at you, or I'm going to do whatever, because that's how I was taught, or that's how I was trained. Do you have any suggestions for someone who might be in that mindset, or they think that is their specific tool that they can use to improve their team?
I mean, like I said, with knowing the individual, like if you're not taking time to learn who your crew is, you can't relate to them at all. So like if somebody's having a bad day, you won't know they're having a bad day. You're just going to think that they're in a pissy mood, right? To where like if you know like this is not how this person usually acts, you can usually relate to them. And if you talk to them about their family, like see what's going on at home. If they don't want to talk, then they don't want to talk. But I see a lot of people in this industry, they'll focus on what's going wrong? Let's fix what's going wrong. But like, what went right? Like, how can you keep improving on what went right? And, when you get on calls with other leaders around the area, the higher ups are always asking, like, what's working at your restaurant that you could tell this person at their restaurant to improve it? They don't focus on the wrong things there. They don't say like, hey, what's going on wrong in your restaurant? And maybe it's going on in theirs and they can fix that. They always want to know what like worked for you. But I feel like that doesn't always translate to just the regular crew members, because all they ever focus on is like, oh, well, she's not putting that together right in the packaging for the customer. Well, what did she do good? Like, is that the spot that she really needs to be in? And we have a saying at Raising Cane's, aces in places. Not everybody wants to work in the kitchen. They maybe want to work in drive-through. So why don't we put them in drive-through and focus on an area of the restaurant that they really, really enjoy? And then make sure that we have a really, really strong drive-through. Our cooks that drop our chicken, we call it bird. They're bird specialists. So like we have to get individuals in there that really care about dropping bird to make sure that we're not holding. And that's usually how our kitchen goes so fast, because we're never holding on food. It is dropped fresh. And we have a very, very short window that we need to get that chicken out in. So the drops on it have to be accurate. And they have to go through training on how to do this to become a bird specialist, to make sure that they are doing what needs to be done in the restaurant, to make sure that we're not just wasting a bunch of product, which then again is how you drop your labor down, and then we don't have hours for people.
I love it. The whole thing, fantastic. And specifically is the perception from like the higher ups to some of like the lower team members. And that perception shift is so huge, where you were saying that at a higher level, they all want to know what went well, what's positive, what is good, so that way I can take that positivity and then potentially move it over here to an organization that maybe, or a location that might not be doing as well. But then at like the infantry side, or the ones that are like in it fighting, right? Not the generals talking about it, but the guys that are in it, they're the ones that are just like, you're in the foxhole, right? Like you're dealing with the issues, you're dealing with the problems yourselves. So it's really hard to see, kind of taking that step back and being like, what went well? What are things we can improve on? But let's focus on like our wins today. And then let's discuss those wins with our team, because that's what's actually going to develop a dynamic where you can have that communication. Because that's one of the biggest parts that I think that you've brought up, is communication being such a critical piece. Communicating with your team, communicating with your higher ups, having that full spectrum kind of conversation.
Mm-hmm. And I always, I have a manager that works for me now, and he appreciates my feedback. And what I call it is a crab sandwich. I always tell you one really good thing that you've done well on your shift, and then I give you something that you have an opportunity to fix. And then I follow it up with another thing that you did good. That's why I'm giving you 2 positives and 1 negative, basically. So I'm telling you what you can improve on, but I'm leaving you with something you did well so that you feel good about our conversation. And that goes back to, I used to work for a showcase company where I would travel the country and we would do showcases to get our high school baseball players in front of college coaches online. And this happened all around during COVID. Baseball teams lost their budget. And what I would do is I would go to those cities and I would put on a showcase. That way, if we're in Arizona, a coach in New York could watch the showcase to recruit without having to spend money to go there on their own, kept their budgets higher. But I had a meeting with somebody, and like he started in the middle to like kind of veer off, and he just said like, basically, how can we make this, like, what do you want out of this conversation to make it successful? And I thought like that was a crazy thing to ask, but like, yeah, it's just getting to the point. So like, that's why I came up with like my thing is the crab sandwich of, I want to get my point across, but I want you to leave feeling like you did something well. I always want people to be positive so that they can go fix that now, knowing that like everything I just said to them wasn't everything they did wrong. And now they're depressed. And now they're not going to focus on fixing the problem. They're going to focus on like, I never get any positive reinforcement. I don't even know why I come into work. And then you're going to be looking for a manager in 2 months. No,
absolutely. Crab sandwich. I love it. So write it down. If you guys are out there, you don't know the best way to communicate with your team. Very, very simple format. A win, something to work on, and then another win. So awesome. I love it. And I think just that, like just only having one critical point to work on, or like one point that you were specifically are like, this is what you need to improve. This is what you need to work on. This is the failure that we may have had to deal with to then overcome it for the success. Just that, I think, is so important, because if you can hit someone with, X, Y, and Z, and you did the fries wrong, you did the bread wrong, the chicken is wrong, you didn't do it fast enough, the quality was off. How are they going to fix all of that, right? It's just not possible. So instead, focus on one thing. And then that one thing you coach, and then you hold them accountable after, right? So, hey, this is what you did wrong. This is how you can fix it. And then afterwards, keep an eye out for that. Like maybe if they're not in your specific shift, have that conversation with the next shift leader. Hey, I coached this, our team member here on improving their quality of the toppings. Make sure they're using their scales, make sure that they're specifically doing this the right way. And just that. And then that's it. With that, the next time you see them, hey, I spoke to so-and-so, the other shift manager. They said that you killed it. You did awesome. So then you reward them by showing them that you see what they're doing, but all of it comes into communication and fixing one thing at a time.
We have a thing called Cane's Love at our restaurants. And basically, like, they want us to give out gift cards. They want us to reward the crew for things that they did well on. Or, if you have a crew member that's picking up multiple shifts to help out the restaurant, give him a gift card for gas, or give him a gift card to go eat something.
That's awesome. Can you elaborate a little bit more, like, as far as some of the employee relation benefits, or like things that you guys do to maybe praise your employee, like, using a gift card, maybe like giving them, do you guys have like employee of the month, or do you have kind of different programs in place to show appreciation to your staff?
We have what's called Crew Member of the Quarter. So we will send that off to our corporate office on our website, and we'll send a picture of it, and they'll send back a flyer that we can put on our crew board in the back, rewarding them. And then, like, our restaurant specifically, like, we try to give you a gift card, or one thing that I want to start implementing, which, we have a corporate card that we can purchase things that we need on, but I want to make you feel like you're special there. And we have it a couple of different areas that we do this, but for our Crew Member of the Quarter, now we have bird specialists, we have service specialists. Whenever somebody gets that role, like, I want to get you a plaque, and I want to put on there your name and the year and like what your title is now. You get a little bit of a bonus with it, but I want you to feel special about that, because if you make a big deal about someone getting some small promotion, where you're rewarding them for going out and getting good surveys, or making sure that customer had a good experience in your restaurant, it'll make other people not jealous of that, but like want that accomplishment. If you're a 16-year-old in high school and you see this kid your age getting awards and gift cards, if you have any kind of competition bone in your body, you're going to want to strive for that as well. And those are the crew members that you want, are the ones that are always wanting to get better. And like I said, if you don't reward them, or you don't give them positive reinforcement, like, they're going to think that finish line keeps getting further and further away from them. So if you give them a goal here, like, you want to be a service specialist, you'll get a plaque, you'll get a gift card. We're going to make a huge deal about it. And then your next one is going to be bird specialist. Your next one's going to be RZM, which is restaurant zone manager. Your next one's going to be restaurant manager after that, and then salaried management, and then up from there. We want you to keep seeing that, the goals are here, and they're just kind of checkpoints in your career with Raising Cane's.
There's 2 points there that I think are super, super critical. One is that employee relations. Identifying something that you want other people to start representing or to start doing, and make that a metric of success, right? Maybe getting that one promotion, or, getting trained in another field, making that a bigger deal will then make everyone else want it. I completely agree with you on that side, because you're right. Competition can be effective and it can be beneficial. And if the competition is done in a healthy way, I definitely think that is something super, super critical. Another thing that you brought up at the end there was that, like, a step ladder. So with your step ladder, as far as the positions that they can move up to management, is that something very clear that they kind of know of in the beginning? Like, you start off in doing, whatever position it is, like a fry, a cashier, and then you kind of move up, like they know that shift lead is next, and then restaurant leader, and then like maybe leading their own store. Is that kind of something that's kind of given to them from the very beginning?
Yeah. So when we do our orientation, we have what's called the crew journey. And it explains every bonus you're going to get, every raise you're going to get, every position you're going to fill, all the way up until you can have your own restaurant. And then if you want to keep going from there, like then there's other people you can talk to about moving up the ladder in the corporate office or anything like that. But basically, you walk in that door, we have what's called certified trainers. You're never going to work any of your first 6 shifts without having somebody standing right next to you, explaining what you did well, your opportunities, explaining how that position is worked. There's a checklist of things inside their training book that we give them that they have to complete. Their first, like I said, 5 shifts, which is usually about 5 hours, I guess. They're going to have like 25 hours in each zone, which is where they're going to get explained everything they have to do. At the end of their shift, they get to sit down, have a half an hour conversation with their trainer so they can ask any questions about how it went on. If they need extra time in the zone, they can have that. And then it shows them, at this hour marker, you can become a service specialist, and then you get a bonus for that. At this hour marker, you can become a bird specialist. At this marker, you can become a certified trainer, because we do offer an extra little wage while someone's training somebody else. So like people want to become a certified trainer because they're going to make more money when they're training somebody. So that's a goal that they can get to. And then once you get there, we have high performing crew members, which we call hypos. So when you get to that stage, that's when we're starting to look at you as, would you like to be in management? That's where we're going to give you a little bit more responsibility in the restaurant. You're still a crew member and you're still valuable, but now we're going to give you some things like counts. We're going to trust that you can go count how much coleslaw mix we have inside the walk-in freezer. And then we're going to follow up on that to make sure that you had accurate counts and that you're actually doing it, not just going through the motions. But we're going to give you, we call them IDP. So it's an individual development plan. So we'll sit down with them and go over like, we're not going to, we got 10 areas that we want you to focus on, but we're going to focus on this one right now. Because if you prioritize everything, you prioritize nothing. So we're going to let them choose one area that they want to work on, and then we're going to get them really, really good at that area, and then we'll move on to the next one. So we're doing it in baby steps to get them ready so that when they do become what is the next step past a hypo, RZM. So it's a restaurant zone manager. So you'll come in every day and you're in charge of one zone of the restaurant. And that lets the other MOD, the manager on duty, kind of rotate around the restaurant so they're not stuck in one area, which is what we call bottlenecks. So if we get a bottleneck in the kitchen, that zone manager's in there, that's their area. They get us out of it while we're worried about the customers up front. And then after that step, that's when you can start looking at like, I want to be a restaurant manager. And then you're a key holder in the restaurant, you're running shifts, but we make it sure that you are ready before you get there. So it's not a shock and awe of us just hiring you to come in and now you have the keys to the restaurant and you're on your own.